Tonight on First at 9, this Monday the 15th of July 2024. Tariff relief. The Public Utilities Commission approves a tariff reduction of over 22% for electricity. New tariffs to be implemented from tomorrow. Dismissed. The Supreme Court dismisses the second fundamental rights petition requesting the postponement of the upcoming presidential elections. Due payments. The Supreme Court orders former President Maithripala Sirisena and two others to pay compensation to the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks before the end of August.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Derana First at 9. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now, taking you to your top story this evening, the Public Utilities Commission today, while announcing the second electricity tariff revision for the year, said that tariffs would receive an overall reduction of 22.5% across all categories. Accordingly, domestic electricity tariffs have been reduced by 27%. Religious and charitable institutions will receive a 30.1% tariff concession, and industries are slated to receive a 25% concession. Following the electricity tariff revision in March this year, the state-run Ceylon Electricity Board submitted a proposal for a further downward revision in tariffs to the Public Utilities Commission last month. With the latest data tallied by the Power and Energy Ministry, the CEB, and the public consultation held last week, the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka announced a 22.5% reduction in electricity cost at the latest revision. Accordingly, the current fee of 9 rupees per unit has been reduced to 6 rupees in relation to the first 30 units of the domestic category. The monthly fee of that category will also be reduced by 50 rupees from 150 rupees to 100 rupees. From 31 to 60 units, the fee of 20 rupees per unit has been reduced to 9 rupees. Its monthly charge will come down by 50 rupees to 250 rupees. In the category of 61 to 90 units, the fee of 30 rupees per unit will be reduced to 18 rupees. The fee of 50 rupees charged per unit from 91 to 120 units has also been reduced to 30 rupees. The fee of 50 rupees per unit in the category of 121 to 180 units has been brought down by 42 rupees. The rate of 75 rupees per unit for above 181 units has been reduced to 65 rupees. Electricity charges have also been reduced for religious and charitable institutions. For the first 30 units, the fee of 8 rupees per unit has been reduced to 6 rupees, and the monthly fee, which was 150 rupees, has come down to 100 rupees. From 31 to 90 units, the price of a unit, which was 9 rupees, has been reduced to 6 rupees. The price of a unit in the category of 91 to 120 units has been reduced to 10 rupees, and the monthly fee to 300 rupees. The price of a unit in the category of 121 to 180 units has been reduced to 20 rupees, and the monthly fee, which was 1,500 rupees, has come down to 1,200 rupees. In the case of 181 units or more, the price of a unit will be reduced from 43 to 30 rupees, and the monthly fee will also be reduced to 1,600 rupees. Electricity rates for industries and hotels have also been lowered. Accordingly, for the category of 300 or less than 300 units, the price of a unit, which was 13 rupees and 50 cents, will go down to 10 rupees, and the price of a unit for above 300 units will go down from 21 rupees and 50 cents to 16 rupees. Electricity charges have also been lowered for government institutions and general purposes. Accordingly, for the below 180 units category, the price of a unit, which was 33 rupees, will go down to 26 rupees and 40 cents, and the price of a unit for the above 180 units category will go down from 53 to 34 rupees and 40 cents. Along with the price revision, the PUCSL has also imposed 7 conditions to the CEB. The conditions include conducting a comprehensive and independent cost audit for the 4th quarter of 2023 and reporting its results to the Commission, as well as negotiating and entering into fuel supply agreements with fuel suppliers. It also includes the completion and commission of the Kotmale to Newpolpitiya 220 kV transmission line and the issuance of hard copies of monthly electricity bills if and when demanded by the customer.
Based on the generation, it is typically 16,000 gigawatt hours consisting of 4 different generation mix. Hydro about 4,500 at a rate of 3 rupees. Then renewable about 3,500 gigawatt hours, about 20 rupees in average. Then coal, that is the critical one, that is about 5,500 gigawatt hours at a 25 rupees. So what I want to stress is 1 rupee change about 5 billion rupees because the consumption is order of 5,500 rupees. Last time it was the coal price was 37 rupees. Now this time it is around about 25 rupees. So that benefit was useful for giving the benefit to the consumer.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Now, the Supreme Court today dismissed the fundamental rights petition filed by Attorney-at-Law Aruna Laksiri seeking an order preventing the calling of a presidential election. Delivering the court's verdict on the petition, Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya stated that by filing the petition, the petitioner has acted in a manner that challenged the court's authority despite being a legal professional himself. Accordingly, the court ordered the petition be dismissed, with a court fee of 500,000 rupees to be paid by the petitioner before the 31st of July. On the 8th of July, the petition filed by entrepreneur C.D. Leneva seeking an order preventing the calling of a presidential election was dismissed by the Supreme Court. Delivering the verdict of the petition, the 5-member judge bench, chaired by Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya, held that through the 19th Amendment of the Constitution, the President's tenure had clearly been limited to 5 years in office. Against such a backdrop, a new petition was filed before the Supreme Court on the 11th of July seeking an order to prevent the holding of a presidential election. Filed by Attorney-at-Law Aruna Laksiri, the petition argued that the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was not properly passed in Parliament and subsequently was not referred to a referendum, even though a Supreme Court bench had ruled that the amendment should be referred to a referendum. The petitioner further asserted that a presidential election facilitated by the Election Commission would violate the supreme law of the land since the 19th Amendment has not been properly passed. The petition was taken up for hearing today before a 3-member judge bench comprising Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya and Justices Arjuna Obesekara and Priyantha Fernando. During the hearing, Deputy Solicitor General Kanishka De Silva, appearing for the Attorney General, stated that as per Article 126 of the Constitution, a fundamental rights petition can only be filed against a breach of fundamental rights that was caused by either an executive or administrative action, and pointed out that a petitioner had challenged an act passed by the legislature. Highlighting that a presidential election had already been called after the passing of the 19th Amendment, the Deputy Solicitor General questioned the petitioner's motive in challenging the legality of the upcoming presidential election and not the previous one. Petitioner, Attorney-at-Law Aruna Laksiri, who stated before the court that the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was passed without being referred to a referendum, questioned its validity. This prompted Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya to assert that the 19th Amendment was passed in Parliament after making necessary adjustments to the draft bill pursuant to the Supreme Court determination and as such did not require referral to a referendum. However, the petitioner, citing the Supreme Court determination on the 19th Amendment in 2002, maintained that the amendment should be referred to a referendum. Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya once again highlighted that the Supreme Court in 2015 determined the necessary adjustments for the 19th Amendment to be passed without being referred to a referendum and pointed out that the amendment was passed in Parliament after the relevant adjustments were made. Following this statement, the Chief Justice, delivering the court's verdict, stated that the petitioner had submitted facts in a manner that challenged the court's authority despite being a legal professional and ruled that the petition will be dismissed as it had no legal basis. Additionally, the court imposed a 500,000 rupee court fee on the petitioner, which is to be paid before the end of this month.
Horizon Campus 2024 intake. Register now.
Now, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says that President Ranil Wickremesinghe is exploiting loopholes in the country's constitution to extend his tenure due to the general public's lack of knowledge in the subject. Speaking at an event in Gampaha, he further said that the incumbent president only holds a temporary mandate from Parliament and stressed that the country's future leader must govern with a public mandate.
The Gampaha District Conference of Samagi Intellectual Forum was held yesterday under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
What is the right path we have to choose if we need to come out of the present crisis? We believe that we need to create a social democracy with a mixed economy. We have the best team that has the skills to commence a much more realistic, practical and progressive program. Many governments take a decision on Monday, publish it on the Gazette on Tuesday and then revise the Gazette on Wednesday. It is crucial for the public to be well informed about the ongoing national economic programs of the IMF. Unfortunately, due to a lack of knowledge about the Constitution, which is the country's supreme law, the President is exploring loopholes in the Constitution to extend his political career without a public mandate. The President currently holds a temporary mandate from the parliamentarians. The IMF also agreed with us during our first meeting. They will listen to the suggestions that is forwarded with a public mandate and present progressive feedback.
ඒ අය සවන් දීලා ඒවට ප්‍රගතිශීලී ප්‍රතිචාර දක්වන්නට IMF එක එකඟ වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Star dishwasher දැලි තෙල් ඉඳුල් පහසුවෙන් සේදේ. Star dishwasher magic tub එක.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
The Supreme Court also ordered that former President Maithripala Sirisena and two others who were ordered to pay compensation to the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks for their failure to prevent the attack to complete their outstanding payments before the 30th of August this year. The seven-member Supreme Court judge bench further ordered that if the relevant individuals fail to complete the payments before the said date, contempt of court charges will be filed against them before the third week of September. On the 12th of January 2023, the Supreme Court ruled that former President Maithripala Sirisena and four other former defence chiefs committed a breach of fundamental rights by failing to prevent the Easter Sunday terrorist attack despite receiving credible information of an imminent attack. The court issued this verdict following the consideration of 12 fundamental rights petitions. In its verdict, the Supreme Court bench ordered former President Sirisena to pay 100 million rupees in compensation to the petitioners, while former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara and former Chief of the State Intelligence Service Nilantha Jayawardena were each ordered to pay 75 million rupees. The court further ordered former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando to pay 50 million rupees and former National Intelligence Chief Sisira Mendis was ordered to pay 10 million rupees. The 12 petitions were once again considered this morning before a seven-member Supreme Court judge bench headed by the Chief Justice to inquire into the progress of the payment of the respective compensations. The counsellors appearing for the respondents, former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando and former National Intelligence Chief Sisira Mendis, informed the court that the respondents have already settled the due compensation. Shamal Kollure, the counsellor for the former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara, informed the court that his client was only entitled to 100,000 rupees as monthly pension and was only able to pay 1.8 million rupees out of the fixed compensation amount of 75 million rupees. At the time, Supreme Court Judge S. Ture Raja of the seven-member judge panel said that according to an affidavit submitted pertaining to his assets, the former Inspector General possesses 30 properties and a fixed deposit of 14 million rupees. The judge announced that if the former Inspector General failed to settle the due amount, the government would seize the properties and sell them at a public auction in order to recover the remaining compensation amount. Meanwhile, today, the former President's counsellors informed the Supreme Court that 58 million rupees of the total 100 million rupees in compensation, which Sirisena had been ordered to pay the victims, had already been settled. President's counsel Faisal Mustafa also requested the court to extend the payment period for the remaining sum of 42 million rupees by 6 years. However, speaking on behalf of the Sri Lanka Bar Association, President's Counsel Sanjeeva Jayawardena strongly objected to the relevant request. Addressing the court, President's Counsel Sanjeeva Jayawardena revealed that according to the statement of the assets and liabilities submitted to the court by former President Maithripala Sirisena, he has purchased 5 properties after assuming the office of President. Highlighting that the former President has also obtained 10 Swarnabhumi land deeds, President's Counsel Sanjeeva Jayawardena said that an investigation should should be conducted in this regard. However, the former President's councillors strongly denied all accusations. Meanwhile, President's Counsel Chandaka Jayasundara, who appeared on behalf of the former Chief of State Intelligence Service Nilantha Jayawardena, informed the court that his client has already paid 4.1 million rupees out of the total 75 million rupees compensation, and added that the respondent receives only 6.9 million rupees as his annual salary and allowances. When the Chief Justice inquired about the implementation of the Supreme Court's order to take disciplinary action against Nilantha Jayawardena, Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Pires, who appeared on behalf of the Attorney General, stated that the committee appointed by the National Police Commission has already handed over a charge sheet to Nilantha Jayawardena. However, the Chief Justice criticised the National Police Commission for the delay in implementing the relevant disciplinary action. Meanwhile, President's Counsel Shamil Pereira, who appeared on behalf of His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, requested that a forensic audit be conducted on the assets and properties of the respondents. Accordingly, the Supreme Court ordered former President Maithripala Sirisena, former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara, and former Chief of State Intelligence Service Nilantha Jayawardena to complete their outstanding payments before the 30th of August this year. Further, the 7-member Supreme Court judge bench ordered that if the relevant individuals fail to complete the payments before the said date, contempt of court charges will be filed against them before the 20th of September this year. Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that a separate mechanism will be introduced to implement the Anti-Corruption Act more effectively in the country moving forward. He made this statement during a meeting with a group of legal professionals today in Colombo.
Singha held discussions with a group of legal professionals at the Presidential Secretariat today.
In 2009, after we won the war, everyone felt a responsibility to keep the leader who won the war in power to stabilize the country. The same sentiment exists today. I believe the economy we have built with great difficulty must be sustained for at least another 5 years. That is why we all decided to put the country first, despite our political and party affiliations.
I do not need to remind you of what happened in May 2022. After that, we formed a government with existing ministers. I did not seek out any other person. From then until now, this country has been led by a remarkable government. MPs from different parties came together and worked for the betterment of the country. Let's make a decision and move forward in the next 5 years.
දූෂණ විරෝධී පනත 2023 තියෙන පනත more effectively ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න කියලා ගෞරවයෙන් ජනාධිපතිතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
We have implemented the Anti-Corruption Act and will also propose a mechanism to enforce it effectively. My friend Anru Disanayaka once showed 400 files, all of which were copies. Those files are with me. After analysing all of them, my friend Ananda Vijaypala filed cases against 40 of them. The other 360 files were blank. They should have only showed the 40 files instead of the 400.
University non-academic staff called off their 75-day-long strike action today on the grounds that their issues, primarily concerning allowances, will be addressed following the implementation of a proper roadmap. Meanwhile, the Railway Station Masters Union warns that an indefinite strike action will be initiated if Minister of Transport and Highways Dr. Bandula Gunawardena fails to submit their demands to Cabinet for approval and provide solutions for their issues by the end of the day.
University non-academic staff trade unions announced their decision to call off their strike action, which continued for 75 consecutive days with effect from today. The decision comes following discussions held with the chairman of the University Grants Commission and the Minister of Education.
The University Grants Commission and the non-academic staff of the universities reached an agreement based on several conditions to conclude the strike action and report to work from tomorrow onwards. However, the concerns raised by the trade unions must be addressed concurrently as per the agreement. They have agreed to follow a roadmap to address the issues concerning allowances.
We will call off the strike action after 75 days. The subject minister assured that a meeting with the president will be scheduled once the strike comes to an end. Additionally, the education minister guaranteed in writing that he would intervene in the matter until this issue is properly solved.
In the meantime, the Railway Station Masters Union issued a warning that an indefinite strike action will be launched if Minister of Transport and Highways Dr. Bandula Gunawardena fails to submit their demands for cabinet approval and provide solutions to their issues by the end of the day. The union further announced that a final decision in this regard will be made during their meeting tomorrow.
And in your business news, the Colombo Stock Exchange closed in green today with turnover crossing 1.5 billion rupees. The benchmark all share price index climbed 0.41% to settle at 11,892.15 points, while the S&P SL20 rose by 0.55% to close at 3,473.74 points. Mixed interest was observed in Commercial Bank, Haley's Fabric and Distilleries, whilst retail interest was noted in LOLC Finance, Dialog Ashiata and RIL Property. Market turnover rose to 29.2 million shares from 20.7 million in the previous session. The capital goods sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, while the sector index gained 0.30%. Foreign investors closed as net buyers, purchasing shares worth 719.8 million rupees, while domestic investors were net sellers, offloading stocks worth 138.9 million rupees. Now, researcher of Capital Alliance, Sandeep Allepola, joins us now with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
Last week, the SPI decreased by 0.8% to 11,947, while the S&P SL20 also fell by 1.5% to close at 3,455. Along with these declines, market turnover plunged by 50% to 3.1 billion rupees, despite positive economic news being released in recent weeks. Looking ahead, this week's market sentiment remains uncertain, with the market beginning the week on a high note, increasing by 0.4% with a turnover of 1.5 billion rupees, with local investors opting to adapt a wait-and-see approach. Moreover, company earnings are expected to be released through July up till August, with companies anticipated to have good first quarter results, mainly due to the drop in interest rates.
And that's all the news we have for you today. We will see you once again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you and have a good night.